minutes. Minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. Stand by.
How about that?
Hey yo, hey now, welcome to the RP Show. It's a brand new week. How you liking us so far? Coming at you live on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live around the world. And in podcast form too, it's Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show. Also airing in the US of A in 32 states here on Game Plus Television. I'm your affable host, Rod Pedersen, broadcasting from the Golden Ticket Sports Center. We're pleased to welcome back the Moose. Everybody was worried about him, where he was. He was on vacation. He was traveling around the motherland. Darren Moose DuPont joining us from Toronto. Welcome back, Moose. You were missed, my friend. You were missed. Did you know that?
Well, I miss being here, so it's mutual, guys. It's mutual.
Okay, I'm going to map this out for you all right off the start. Today, a lot of football. I didn't even tell Darren that, but I think he can handle it because he's a football kind of guy. And then later on this week, we're going on out to Calgary for 2 live shows. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be a lot of hockey from Calgary because it's a hockey town. But let's get going with the quick 6 show topics. And I should tell you, our live guest today is Eddie Steele. He'll be joining us from Edmonton, the Grey Cup champion now of Sports 1440 Edmonton Radio, to talk about a lot of football things because it's going to be a football day. Moose, we're going to open up with the capper of Week 8 in the Canadian Football League and all of the games. The visiting Hamilton Tiger Cats overcame a 10-point deficit in the final 4 minutes and knocked off the BC Lions 37-33 for their 5th consecutive victory. They now share first place in the East with Montreal, who upset Calgary on Thursday night to kick the week off. Both teams are now 5-2. I'm going to tell you right now, depending on who you cheer for, but if you're just a CFL fan, it was a fantastic week of Canadian Football League action. How much of it did you follow?
Oh my gosh, it was a great week, and I was watching it last night with some good friends, and unbelievable game. And I had to rewatch the fourth quarter, or really the second half of that football game this morning. It was a really good week, and it just proves again that in the Canadian Football League, just when you think you know where this league is going and who these teams are, everything gets shaken up again. That's what's so great about this league and what was great about the week.
Well, on the way in the quick 6 show topics, by the way, we got the Blue Jays because they open a series of Baltimore later on today. We've got NFL training camp news. We're going to come back around and look at CFL Week 9 and whatever hockey notes there might be out there, and then the always popular randoms. So that is all on the way today. But I will say this, we're going to get around to Luke Wilson, trust me, from the CFL on TSN, because I don't care what the polls say. He is still the most talked about guy in the CFL so far in 2025. His polarizing opinions, the Super Bowl winning tight end with the Seahawks, Luke Wilson, kind of stepped in it on the weekend, saying that the protection issues, for those that don't know, he's talking about offensive line play, protecting quarterbacks, are amateurish in the CFL. I think he intimated, if I have this right, that he puts more prep into his broadcast than the coaches do. I don't know. There's just a whole lot of bunk out there. It's part of the reason why I wanted to get Eddie Steele on here next hour, because he took a major swipe at Luke Wilson, tagged CFL on TSN in a tweet and said, this is your guy calling down the CFL. And I, to be honest, with that wild ending last night, which Kevin the Medium and I were texting back and forth because his BC Lions were in the game, looked like a good crowd. It's all pretty positive CFL-wise. And people are writing into our website, Darren, saying to me, oh, you're Mr. Positive. How can you support Luke Wilson? Because he's crapping on the CFL. I'm like, I don't care what anybody else says or does. I'm going to be positive about the CFL, and I love the play. Luke even tweeted last night, what a great ending, or what a great game. But I know you have thoughts on Luke Wilson as we enter Week 9. What are they, Moose?
I got thoughts on him. I still want to talk about that game last night a little bit. But
Luke
Wilson, I mean, one of the things with Luke is, you don't have to be pigeonholed into one or the other. Like, he can criticize and critique this game and the league and maybe the people in it, and he can also love it and support it at the same time. So anybody saying, wow, you've been negative to the league, now you're going to be positive? Well, yeah, you call it like you see it. Some things are bad, some things are good. And he's done a pretty good job of just being unfiltered and just saying what's on his mind when it's bad and when it's good. So that part, I really admire him, kind of not really caving to the pressure. But man, it can't be easy. It cannot be easy when your phone's going off like that and the people are coming at you like the fans are across this country.
Well, for sure. And again, I've been in those shoes. It doesn't feel good to just simply be at war with everybody, even if you're right or if you think you're right. So anyways, we'll be getting into that more. And I want to ask Eddie Steele the impetus for him tagging Luke's bosses and saying, you support this? Derek Dennis got in it, the perennial lineman of the year in the CFL. He's now living in Phoenix. He's like, this is what the sports media has become, this guy, which is true. And I continue to be entertained by Luke Wilson. I think he's a great guy, but there's been some great games. Rich in Edmonton writes in and he says, breaking news, the Riders just sacked Cody Fajardo again. Oh, yeah, we watched it Friday night. 8 sacks on Cody Fajardo. Actually, let's get to the ball. And we're up, well, not up against it for a break, but this is the big story segment. It goes fast. Friday night in Canada's football capital, the Saskatchewan Roughriders beat Edmonton 21-18. And, Darren, this is what they're saying here because you're back in Toronto. You're not at home in the 306 anymore. Oh, the Riders were lucky. They were lucky. And they only won by 3. They should have put them to bed. And this is what they're saying. They'd have been embarrassed if they didn't have those 8 sacks. So it hasn't changed, Darren. Just say it hasn't changed, even though you don't live in Saskatchewan anymore.
No, it hasn't. I get that. And I'm seeing that coming out of the 306 or the rectangle. But
Are you? Okay.
You know what? A win is a win. And that's what they count in this game. They count wins. Edmonton's a team that, they've had ups and downs, some really tough weeks. They've had some good weeks. And, the protection issues, the sacks, you just can't be giving up 8 sacks. That's not going to get you into the playoffs, let alone contend for a Grey Cup. But they were close enough, despite that, to hang with the Riders, who are a very good football team. So there's some positives to take away from it. But if you're Saskatchewan, a win. You're happy to get a win. Forget about how you got it. You got it.
Yeah. Well, settle in, everybody. Fill up your coffee. It's going to be fun today. Navy Don writes in from Ottawa. He says, both teams have a say in the win. It's just dumb to say they were lucky to win, so stop it, everybody. Those that are. John Ohm says, Saskatchewan Roughriders are number 1. Yes, they are. Carlos in Indianapolis says, we had a Catch of the Year nominee this week, too. Yes, that was the interception by, I'm not sure I got his name right. I think it's Robert Taylor Jr. The players are all new. They change teams every year. He's a rookie, so with plays like that, we're going to get his name. I'm not sure if I have that. Is it Robert Taylor? Do you know, Darren?
I think so. But
yeah, okay. We're not totally sure, but that's what the league, we need to find. These guys need to become household names. We'll be right back with more on Game Plus right after this.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help.
Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
RP Show continues on a Monday. The Moose is back, and in a second you'll see him. We continue with the Quick Six show topics, and we've got messages coming in from the viewers, as we always do, on the Western Dodge text line and the YouTube chat. But point two, the Toronto Blue Jays 4-game win streak came to an end in Detroit on Sunday as they were whipped 10-4 in the fourth and final game of the series. The Jays, who lead the AL East by 5 1/2 games over the Yankees, open a 4-game series today against the Baltimore Orioles, who trailed the Jays by 15.5 games. Point three, Cleveland Browns quarterback Kenny Pickett will be sidelined because of a hamstring injury. The injury is believed to have occurred during a red zone 11-on-11 drill late in Saturday's practice. A person with knowledge of the injury said Sunday. They got 5 quarterbacks in camp, or 4 now with Kenny Pickett going down. Darren, it's brought up our poll question today for EMJ Marketing. I'm not sure you saw it. Are you following NFL training camps? What are you voting, sir?
I'm voting yes. I'm following NFL training camps more and more every day, and more for sure every week. But yeah, count me as a yes.
Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in. He says, I'm only following one camp, the Browns, and their quarterback competition. Pickett now down with a hamstring injury. So we'll circle back around on the CFL. As I said, it's a big football day today for those that joined us late. Moose will not be with us Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll be live from Calgary for 2 shows, one from the Sheridan Cavalier Airport and Wednesday from Overtime Hockey Lanes, both in Calgary. Big hockey shows. We're doing the football today. I appreciate the people that have written in, Air Corps and Mark from Burlington, Ontario, saying it's Robert Carter Jr., Rod. I apologize. I watched the game. Clearly, I watch the game. I just can't remember the guy's name. There's a lot of things going in and out of this noggin. I'll say this. So I'm a Cowboys fan, and that's the only team I'm really watching closely. And what they're talking about in Oxnard, California, where the Cowboys always hold their camp, Darren, is George Pickens. And will he, after 3 tumultuous years in Pittsburgh, straighten out in Dallas? He's saying he needed a change of scenery. Oh, yeah, we got another one. Another one of those guys in Dallas, a problem child. And Dak Prescott is in his 10th year now with the Cowboys with 0 playoff success. Actually, the story that I read, Darren, said Dak Prescott is just like the Cowboys. Rich, famous, and has no playoff success. I'm like, it's kind of downtrodden coming out of Cowboys camp. What are you following for NFL training camp coverage?
Well, it is downtrodden coming out of Cowboys camp, and I'm seeing talk about Jerry Jones and maybe for a split second thinking about stepping down as the GM of the team. And, it's got many wondering whether that would be a good move, and maybe that's needed to get this team where it needs to be. they've got talent. They've got a ton of talent. It's about bringing it together and finding ways to win. They're in a tough division, as we know. And it's tough being in Dallas. You got Philadelphia, who's a Super Bowl champion. You got Washington, who's on the rise and playing really well. Another young quarterback now in New York with the Giants. It is, becomes tough for them. And it's time for Dak Prescott to figure out how to win football games when it matters. But they've got talent, so I'm not too worried about the Cowboys, being able to do that. But Cleveland is probably the story of the NFL when it comes to camp. I think probably if you polled people across the league or fans, that's probably the most intriguing kind of thing, because we all love quarterbacks. We all know the quarterbacks. It's easy to follow, and they've got a lot of them. And now I'm seeing that Deshaun Watson is busting his butt in the gym at Browns camp, working hard to try and get back as soon as he can. Not that he's going to be back anytime soon, but that's another wrinkle, because I think we've all kind of said Deshaun Watson's done, at least in Cleveland, and maybe he still is. I'm talking about maybe he'll be, getting himself ready to play in Cleveland or somewhere else, but definitely following that and seeing what happens in Cleveland.
Okay. Well, from the audience, Cole in North Dakota writes in, he says, "Go, Pack, go." Ryan in upstate New York says, to answer the poll question, I am following NFL training camps, but only for my New York Jets. My optimism is quietly growing. Navy Dawn says, Jerry, step down. Sorry. No, I know, Don. For those of us that follow the Cowboys, we know it's all a fallacy. I mean, what are you talking about? You aren't a Cowboys fan. You're a Titans fan. But what are you seeing out of Cowboys camp? It's about Jerry. It's always about Jerry. He ain't going anywhere. And you weren't on the air with us last week because you were having a great holiday, taking a Saskatchewan break, as it were. But Jerry goes, the only reason that came up, Darren, was on day one of training camp. A reporter asked Jerry, any thoughts of stepping down, Jerry? Like he's 81 or 82 now. And he was almost offended at the question. He was like, after all I've given this friggin' team over 35 years, I'm like, I'm tired of it. I'm over it. It's not about you, Jerry. So, yeah. So looking at it from the outside, oh, that's the story. No. That's cooked up. That's what they want. Jerry wants it all about him. Jeff the Stamps fan says we have two great races starting to form in the CFL. In the West, Stampeders, Riders. In the East, Alouettes, Ticats. So back to the Canadian Football League for a second. Hey. Where's the Winnipeggers? I haven't heard from the Winnipeggers today, aside from John Ohm, and he's a Rider fan. Here are your scores. Thrilling last-minute comeback victory Sunday for Hamilton at BC, 37-33. Bo Levi, Hamilton's quarterback, looks like the Bo Levi of old, not an old Bo Levi. It was a great finish. Great everything coming out of BC Place on Sunday. On Saturday, nobody, at least I didn't see this coming. Toronto molly-whopping the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 31-17 at BMO. That's right. The Argos got their first home win, beating the Bombers 31-17. Zach Leros left the game with injury. Friday night, Sask beat Edmonton 21-18. I feel like we're not done talking about that. Even their own fans and media saying the Riders were lucky to win it. You wonder why I drank so much. Dealing with this crap. Oh, we won. We're 6-1, but the kicker missed a field goal. We got to tie a can to his ass. Oh, and by the way, the upper deck wasn't sold out. Oh! They just can't be happy. And on Thursday, it got going in Calgary with Montreal upsetting the Stampeders 23-21, and there was some drama in that game. We talked about it Friday with Jim Barker. Vernon Adams Jr. didn't finish the game, and P.J. Walker could not engineer a comeback for the Stampeders. So just back to Week 8, because we will turn our attention to Week 9 in a moment, and we've got Eddie Steele coming up in hour 2 as well. What were your other takeaways, Moose, from Week 8?
Yeah, back to last night's game. That second half and really the fourth quarter is such a great example of pro sports and the CFL. It's such a showcase for the CFL. Look, if I have a minute for a story, like I've had the most incredible 15 hours, right? And a great morning, wonderful morning. I've been up early doing all the things. But as I'm driving around, I got this turtle on my dash. His name's Carlos, and his little bobblehead, right? And if I'm in a good mood, his head's bobbing. If I'm in a bad mood, his head's bobbing, right? It doesn't matter. And that's kind of what Bo Levi was doing. It's like with 5 minutes left, they're down in that football game. They fumble the football. BC recovers it inside 5 minutes to go, completely in control. BC, up in the game, get the ball back, all the rest. No panic from Bo. That was the Bo of old. There's no panic. Just engineered a couple of drives. They got a stop on defense, engineered another drive, scored some points. Yes, they got fortunate with a pass interference call at the goal line. They got fortunate with a couple of tip balls that ended up in their receivers' hands. But just calm, cool, no overreacting. And I think the same goes in Saskatchewan. You can't overreact because you didn't win by enough against an Edmonton team that you think you're a lot better than. Same thing in Calgary. You lose a football game against Montreal, a good football team. You can't overreact. Calgary's still shown that they're a good football team again. So you got to stay steady at this time of year in pro sports.
I love that you said overreact because we're calling the show today Overreaction Monday. And Kirk from Toronto was written, and he's watching on Game Plus Television right now, our television home, and we love them all at Game Plus TV and Anthem Sports and Entertainment. Kirk says, hey, Rod, it's not Football Friday, but I like all the football talk on any day. And boy, that BC defense is terrible. Somebody wrote in here earlier, I think it's Air Corps, I think was the account on watching on YouTube, says, we're just resigned to the fact we got to score 40 points to win a game. And to be honest, I enjoy going back and forth with the CFL fans from every team. Like some guy wrote me last night, he was a Lions fan, and he was mad at the way the CFL game clock is set up. He goes, the last 2 or 3 minutes, can't remember what he said. He goes, it's inexcusable that you should be able to run 13 plays. And I think he said 2 minutes, and that you should be able to do this. I'm like, you're just mad because you lost. And the Lions could have knocked a pass down. They could have put some pressure on Bo. Don't get mad at the damn rules. Like that's what makes the league great. I don't know if you saw that on social media. I mean, he's the first guy that's ever complained about the last 2 minutes of a CFL game. And you know where I realized, Darren, how many plays you could get was when we had that charity all-star game, remember, at Leibel Field with all the CFL all-stars, and you played in it. And I was running the clock and announcing, and I was like, holy smokes, I never really paid attention. Until you're running the clock, how short amount of time plays take and how many you can get in the last couple minutes. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. And it's one of those things that makes the CFL great. It's one of the league's competitive advantages. I've seen the commentary that you can't run 2 minutes off the clock, and control the clock and run it out. That's one of the things that the NFL has. Sure. And that's okay. But this league is different. And it's always wide open like that late in a football game. So you got to stay mentally strong. And it's never over until it's over.
Chris from Heidelberg, Ontario writes in and he says, I'm an O-line guy, obviously, but the Elks O-line was really bad Friday night. Even my 15-year-old daughter mentioned how bad they were, LOL. And speaking of that, Shy writes in, I don't know if he's trying to pick at a wound here. He says, hey, Rod, how are you feeling watching your brother Fajardo eat turf 8 times? Well, how do you think I was feeling? Slightly less as bad as him. I'm sitting there watching Edmonton going, they made a quarterback change because why? Because they thought Cody was going to make a difference because Trey Ford was awful in their last game. Obviously, I was praying that Cody would come back and win. I don't know. Thank God we're up against it for a commercial break because I don't want to go too far down this road, and you know what that road is, Darren. But the guy is out there playing with his heart on his sleeve again behind a horrific offensive line, just like he had in Saskatchewan. Even Luke Wilson tweeted it. He said, I love this guy. He's a warrior. And that the O-line never gave him a chance, sacked 8 times. And what I heard after the game was the post-game shows on the multiple radio stations that cover the Riders were dumping all over the guy that they kicked out of town and went on to win a Grey Cup the next year. You know where I'm at with that. How do you think it felt, asshole? Like the guy writes in just to pick at a wound. Here's Cody again on a crappy team giving his all. And I think the worst part of it is Rider fans going, nah, 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 nah. Oh, my God. They don't care if you're a good person. I don't know if that's just a Rider fan thing or if that's a sports fan thing. What do you think?
You just are wearing a number, and you're wearing a jersey, and you're wearing a helmet. And I think to a lot of fans, like the athletes aren't human beings. And to a point, I understand it. I get it. You yell at the TV when a guy makes a bad play, and you think, awful. You should never have a chance to play again. I hope you can separate that they're human beings. And when you get out of the emotion of the game, you can leave that away. But I know a lot of people can't do that either.
And that's why I just move on. It's just sad. I feel like it's worse here, but that might just be me. Carlos in Indianapolis says that short play clock and no fourth down means a lot can happen in those final minutes. That's why we love it. Don't say that's why the BC Lions lost. Come on. Tony in Cochrane says extremely disappointed with PJ Walker. He looks like a raw-ass rookie, not an NFL and UFL vet. Next. Oh, I feel like there's more to unpack on that, and we have to take a break. So we'll be right back. More with Moose. Be thinking about your final thoughts, Moose. Oh, my God, we're heading into the final segment with Moose already. We'll be right back here on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and found on all major podcast platforms.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
We are still in the warm-up in the Quick Six Show Topics. This is the final segment with Moose, and I will give him the floor coming up in near the end of the segment where we still got plenty of time. He's in Toronto, home of the hottest team in baseball, the Blue Jays. They are at the Orioles tonight. I will save the text comments for when it's just me and you for viewer takeover. Not when I say me and you, the viewers, 902-518-3033. I should mention I'm pretty excited. As far as hockey notes go, Wednesday, Theron Fleury will be joining us live at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary as we do a live show from OT Hockey Lanes. I know there's people coming down. They're watching right now. Take all the damn photos you want. Share them everywhere. It's just going to be fantastic. Can you tell I'm excited to get back to Calgary? Moose, before we go any further, what do you got? What do you got? You tell me. What's up?
Well, the second I heard that, that you were going back, but even with, the two events, that was incredibly exciting. I think it's going to be 2 fun days. And it had me reminiscing about being in Calgary and all the time we spent there, doing this show. What a great city. And I know you're going to enjoy it. I'm going to miss being there.
Well, we'll be thinking of you. And all the boys and gals will say, hey, I got another one for you. So I may or may not see Joe Madden there. Formerly with Sports Grid TV, they did a massive layoff last week, and it sucks. Just this volatile, horrific industry that we're in. But Joe's still going strong, and she put a thing on Twitter this morning because she's got a big following. She said, who's the most overrated quarterback in the National Football League? And, of course, like anything, the comments go crazy. As I often say, folks, if you want more CFL coverage, respond to all of us on social media that are posting CFL stuff. Because she posts NFL and it goes crazy. All these answers. CFL she posts as well. Hardly any reaction. I give you enough time to think about who you think is the most overrated NFL quarterback. And if I'll go first, if I may, it's Dakota Prescott of my Dallas Cowboys. But what are you thinking? I'm not saying I'm right. That's what I think, though. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I got to bounce around the league here a minute, but Dak Prescott comes to mind for sure, just because of the money he signs for and the success that he doesn't have. So that becomes really interesting. I kind of look at Aaron Rodgers and I think about where he's at and what he did, in his last season in his time in New York. And now maybe he's actually being more properly rated, but maybe a little overrated if they think he's going to save the Steelers based on what he did in New York. But he's got such a great career, such a great legacy that it's hard to say Aaron Rodgers is overrated at this point of his career. The one guy I'll go with, the young guy who's got to prove himself that I think, hasn't, is Anthony Richardson in with the Colts, with the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a little bit of him coming out of Florida and the athletic body and the high draft pick and all the rest. And then he had the issue where he literally pulled himself from the game. He hasn't driven success. I think, the ceiling is so high for him, but man, he hasn't shown up, and this is a really make it or break it season for him.
I started smiling when you said his name because that was just last year, and Shane Steichen, the coach of the Colts, that whole situation. Yeah, I'm pulling myself from the game. I'm sorry, what? And he wasn't the only guy to do that last year, but he was just the most famous one. There were other guys that did. San Francisco had a linebacker that did the same thing last year. I don't get it. Shy in Saskatchewan writes in, he says, Jenkins from the Commanders is the most overrated quarterback. Who's Jenkins from the Commanders? Jaden Daniels is their quarterback, and he engineered the biggest worst to first comeback. Well, the Eagles were first in their division, but you know what I mean. Best season last year of any team in the NFL, coming from the worst to accomplish the most. So no. Sorry. I got another one for you, Moose, because I'll try to get back on point later once you're gone. I just want to have fun with you here. Not that we're not having fun, but I watched the first 40 minutes of Happy Gilmore 2 last night. And you said you were out with some folks watching football last night, so maybe, I don't know, have you had time to catch any of Happy Gilmore 2 on Netflix?
Yeah, about halfway through it. Had to pause it, but going to finish it. So no spoilers, but I'm in. I can talk about it.
You can spoil whatever you want. No, I only watched 40 minutes to an hour or two, but come on. It's funny. And there were, again, you're that much younger than me. I don't know where you were. You were in elementary school when that came out. I was in my 20s. Yeah, when it came out. Like, we were like, what is this? When it came out in 95, there's been nothing like this in movies. This is so funny. And this movie is very similar to that. Just so dumb that it's funny.
I know. It really is. And the cameos, the number of cameos.
Yeah.
Like they go back. Did you get as far as the first tour championship or whatever he's at, and the gold jacket dinner, and all the pros are in there? You know, Ricky Fowler. That's what she said, and none of it makes sense. Like, it's funny. It's funny. You know, it was actually Xander Schauffele. He was the one doing it, and then Ricky Fowler gave him the business. You know, it was funny. Travis Kelce was funny. John Daly. So many cameos. It's good.
John Daly's the one that got me, playing himself, by the way. And then Ben Stiller comes back as the leader of the AA meeting, which also hilarious. Everybody, you're in my world now. Oh, my God. So, yes, like whether you are going to give it a 1 thumb up, 2 thumbs up, or a thumb down, you still got to watch it. Everybody's got to watch it. But it's really no different than the first one. It's just, which a lot of the great sequels are, it's just, here's what's going on 30 years later. And it's also cool that his kids are in it. Adam Sandler's kids are in it. So, yeah. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in. He says, Happy Gilmore, too. Meh. Right, but at least you watched it. You know what I mean? We all got to watch it. I fear that going to the theaters is going the way of the dodo. It's not bad on Netflix being able to watch half a movie and come back and watch the second half a day or two later. You're not doing that at the movie theater. Fake Gainer writes in from the 306. He says, hey, Rodfather, glad to see Moose Mania is running wild again, brother. A professional AF. He's calling you a pro Moose. Fake Gainer. Allie writes in from Sherwood Park, Alberta. She says, morning, RP and Darren. We are at the cabin. Kev, my sister, and I really enjoyed the Rider game. We chatted with a couple of groups of younger Edmonton fans who drove from the Edmonton area and Sylvan Lake. They were all really nice. We were happy to see these younger fans making the effort to go to an away Elks game. So there you go. I guess I should look at week 9 because I have it written down for you. Let's do picks now, unless you want to wait till Thursday. Or do you want to wait till Thursday? Okay, we have a brand new sponsor on the program today, Pump Jack's Cathedral and Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Weyburn. 2 bars, same name, Pump Jackson, right in the middle of Regina and in Weyburn. Longtime friends of mine, going to do our CFL and NFL picks. Calgary at Ottawa on Thursday. Who you liking in that one?
Calgary has to be favored, but I weirdly like Ottawa. You got to find a way to win.
A lot of pressure on them. I'll take Ottawa as well. Friday, Toronto at Winnipeg, back end of a home and home. Who you liking in that one? I'll take the Bombers. Healthy? I'll go first. Bombers.
This is where the picks might change by Thursday. I'll go Toronto. I think they're going to ride a little wave here.
Homer, you're a homer. You're a Toronto homer now. That didn't take long. Just a couple of years. Saturday, Hamilton at Edmonton. Who do you like?
I like Bo and the Ticats a lot.
Well, I don't like Bo a lot, but I'll take Hamilton to win as well. And that's a doubleheader on Saturday. No Sunday game in the CFL. Sask at Montreal. That's the game of the week right there, Saturday night. Sask at Montreal. Hopefully, Corey Mays can keep the boys off St. Catherine Street. That was always a problem back in the day. I can't imagine it isn't a problem still. But I'll still take the Rough Riders to win in Montreal. How about you?
I'm going to take Montreal at home. It's a tough place to play on the road. I think the Owls at home will win.
Okay. They got the music pumping in here. I got to tell them to turn it down because I can barely hear producer Corey. Did you give me a cue, Corey? I apologize. Okay, we're good for a bit. Pump Jacks, Weyburn and Cathedral, your CFL and NFL headquarters. I was in there last week, and I said they wanted to do NFL, and I said just NFL. They're like, no, we're Saskatchewan. We got to do CFL too. I said no, I agree. So they're going to do CFL and NFL picks, Pump Jacks, Cathedral, and Weyburn. Moose, we're out of here. Go take care of yourself the rest of the day. I'll see you Thursday. Thanks for jumping on.
All right. Great to be back. Have fun in Calgary.
Sports update on the way right after this here on Game Plus TV.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the RP Show, and it's just you and me right up to the top of the hour, and then well into hour two. And in segment 2 of hour 2, Eddie Steele will join us. Edmonton Eskimos, Grey Cup champion now of Sports 1440 Edmonton, to talk a lot of CFL. For those that got in late, here's the roadmap for the week. I don't always give you all one, but I'm going to this week. A lot of football today, and I can't wait. I am jumping in my Dodge Hornet right after the show and ripping off to Calgary. I'm looking forward to driving through the country, driving down the Trans-Canada through Western Canada to get to Calgary. Love that town where I've spent a lot of time, and we'll be live from the Sheridan Airport Cavalier this time tomorrow, in advance of the Western Canadian Pro Hockey Scouting Foundation Wall of Honor induction. My dad's going in with 28 of his scouting buddies. Garth Malarchuk really is the biggest organizer of it. You probably know that name. Scouting with the Leafs, his brother Clint, the NHL goalie, what do they call it, the cowboy goalie. We're going to be filling this with hockey people tomorrow, and my heart is warm just thinking about it. And then on Wednesday, we'll be live from Overtime. Hockey Lanes, one of our oldest and longest-running sponsors. Live show from there, and Theron Fleury is going to be joining us live at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. So big hockey shows Tuesday, Wednesday. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, Eddie, fresh off his trip to Vegas. I didn't know about that, but we got lots to talk about with Eddie. We got lots to talk about overall. Rich from Edmonton, you had a good comment here. There's been a lot of comments coming. I can't find it. I did see Rob from Las Vegas write in, an original Winnipegger, now living in Vegas. And he says that he fears the Bombers' run is over. Well, there is still a lot of football left to be played. I've got a Winnipeg-Toronto Grey Cup predicted. There's a lot of football left to be played. Zach Caleros, however, needs to stay healthy because it's very evident that they can't win without him. So I've got them picked to win Friday night. Moose has the Argos, though. I mean, it's going to end at some time, okay? 5 consecutive Grey Cup appearances, for real? It's going to end at some point. Is it now? We don't know. That's why you're hooked to the end, Rob. But if it is over, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. Been a hell of a run. Let me get to the sports update, and then we'll jump back to this. Sports update for Cool Bet Canada. Canada's Summer McIntosh has won her 2nd gold medal of the World Swimming Championships, taking the women's 200-meter individual medley in Singapore. The 18-year-old from Toronto touched the wall nearly 2 seconds ahead of American Alex Walsh, who got silver. The American League East's top team faces the bottom dweller as the Toronto Blue Jays kick off a 4-game set in Baltimore later today. Chris Bassett gets the nod for the first-place Jays, while the last-place Orioles send Zach Eflin to the hill. Toronto will be without all-star catcher Alejandro Kirk, who landed on the 7-day injured list Sunday with a concussion. The Blue Jays have the best record in Major League Baseball, but the Chicago Cubs and Milwaukee Brewers are right behind them. Those two NL Central powers open up a 3-game series in Milwaukee tonight. So how about that? The sports headlines are for Cool Bet Canada. Get a welcome bonus up to $200 with the promo code RP200 at coolbet.com. Proud partners of the RP show. Speaking of baseball, by the way, I'm not sure if this is good or bad. Last Monday, a week ago today, when I was at my good friend Kevin Glenn's having a barbecue supper, and he's probably watching right now. He watches every day. Kevy was like, you just come to life when you're talking hockey, and your hockey guests are so much better. And I'm like, well, that's probably true, but I like talking football as well. And he goes, and when you talk about Western Canadian Baseball League, you feel like maybe you shouldn't be talking about it. And I'm like, I don't feel that way. But I know that that's a Western Canadian-focused league, and we're a national show. But the reason I bring that up is we had a great day at the ballpark on Sunday. I want to talk about that for those that don't know. I am the voice of the Moose Jaw Miller Express Western Canadian Baseball League. As far as I'm concerned, it's the highest level of baseball outside the Blue Jays in Canada, all NCAA athletes. And yesterday, our Millers, despite getting bombed by the Saskatoon Berries 13-2, because there was a Beck bomb. Carter Beck of Indiana State launched another home run, his 4th of the year in Moose Jaw. Just in Moose Jaw alone, he's hit 4 as a road team. Anyways, we lost but clinched because the Weyburn Beavers lost on the road in Regina. So it's looking like a Saskatoon Moose Jaw playoff. We beat them last year. It's going to be tougher this year. So I'm enjoying baseball. Coach DeBuck is watching in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He says the peg is not what it was last year. There's something missing for sure. There's something missing for sure. But who had Toronto beating Winnipeg at all, let alone motorboating them 31-17 on Saturday? I'll go back to this Luke Wilson thing, and that's the biggest reason why I invited Eddie Steele to come on today. He's in the media now, Eddie, but he played in the CFL for a long time and won a Grey Cup, and he's got a problem with Luke Wilson. Here's the thing. It was a fantastic week as far as I was concerned of games in the CFL. I'll re-up them. Big upset Thursday night in Calgary, and we're watching right to the end. We're streaming the game here in the ballpark, here at the baseball game. Got to watch the end of this. And P.J. Walker could not come off the bench to lead the Calgary. The former NFL and XFL quarterback could not come off the bench to rally Calgary to victory. Maltos, the kicker for Montreal, nailed, I think it was 58 yards, the longest of his career, to win it for the Alouettes. Big upset in Calgary. Montreal 23, Calgary 21. Friday night, Saskatchewan beat Edmonton 21-18. And my God, Coach DeBuck, I know you haven't spent a ton of time in Saskatchewan other than playing here as the road team in the CFL, but it's a tough place. The Riders are 6-1, and the media and fans are saying, oh, they were lucky to win Friday night. They were lucky. 6-1, for the love of Pete. Can you stop bitching? Saturday, I just mentioned Toronto beating Winnipeg 31-17. And then Sunday night was the game of the week. The comeback by Hamilton in BC. Looked great on television. Good crowd there. They said only 21,000 and change. It looked like there was more, but the crowds will come. But BC's got to start winning, man. I can't see them. They just fired the head coach after last year. They can't be firing people now, can they? But anyways, Hamilton's won 5 in a row. They beat BC 37-33. It was a great week of football, but there are people here. It's one thing for Luke Wilson to criticize the Canadian Football League, and here's the problem. Somebody wrote into our Facebook page and said, hot garbage? I don't think so. Luke Wilson referred to one specific game this year. Saskatchewan at Toronto was hot garbage, and it's sticking to him. And he ain't ever going to be able to live that down because that's just the way people are. That's just the way people are. You can't, it's too late now to try to explain what you meant or to change their mind because they've formed their opinion. And that's not just fans. Eddie Steele is going to come on and talk about that next hour, the issues that he has with Luke Wilson as a Grey Cup champion. And Derek Dennis, same thing, saying this is what the sports media has become now. Now, having said that, Derek Dennis did graduate Temple. I know him well. We had him here, left tackle with the Rough Riders. Cut his teeth mostly in Calgary, but he's got a communications and broadcasting degree from Temple. There might be a little bit of jealousy there. I'm not sure. But I don't care who you are. Being on the CFL on TSN and criticizing the league, it just isn't going to go over well. Whether you want to say it's a good look or not a good look or his heart's in the right place or whatever, you're going to piss a lot of people off. And the wars that he's in, having been in several myself, it doesn't feel good. But he's also not backing down. Oh, and by the way, Matt DeBuck, our Florida football insider, writes it. He says, Luke needs to be on the RP show ASAP. Well, let's put it this way, Coach. He's been invited multiple times. He opened the door to coming on months ago and then never did. And now, crickets. Mike writes in, he's in Richmond, BC. How about this? It's so refreshing that a Canadian sports talk show is willing to talk about sports. It's sickening how Sportsnet 650 radio in Vancouver is hockey 24/7, 365. That is a tough one, but you're listening, Mike. So I appreciate the refreshing term. Thank you for that. We do our best. A lot of BC Lions fans out there in the lower mainland, obviously. As a longtime CFL guy, I enjoy talking about it. Ray in Scarborough, Ontario writes in, he says, Rod, I'm a little concerned about my Argos. I'm hearing that they put Chad Kelly on the 6-game injured list. I'm fearful we won't see him this year at all. Just so you know, on Friday's program, you obviously weren't watching, Ray. Jim Barker was on here and said Chad Kelly will be gone for the whole year. So, and I was texting back and forth with JB on the weekend. So don't expect Chad Kelly anytime soon. Gary is watching in Winnipeg. The old fart. He says, he writes it on the Western Dodge text line. He says, I am hoping the Bombers cross over to the Eastern Division for the CFL playoffs. A Riders Bomber Grey Cup game would be fantastic. Well, I don't want to remind you of the last one. Like the title of what'll be my next book, I Was There. That's actually going to be the opening page. The last time Saskatchewan-Winnipeg met in the Grey Cup, 23-19 Saskatchewan victory. I might tell a little bit about that story. It involves Ronnie Lott, if you can believe. I might tell a little bit about that next hour. So we'll be back. Get your comments in, 902-518-3033 on the Western Dodge text line or the YouTube chat. And Eddie Steele will be with us in hour 2 as well. We're going to have big fun. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hi, everybody. It's the RP Show, and it's hour 2, and we're yakking it up on the old yak box here. Hour 2 coming at you on the Game Plus Television Network and streaming live around the world on YouTube and in podcast form as well. You're not going to believe this. It's a red letter day. The commentary, the comments coming in from the viewers are exceedingly positive today, and I'm wondering what's gotten into people. it's all good. And before we get to the quick six show topics, just to re-up it here in hour two, and then we'll be bringing in Eddie Steele in segment 2 of hour 2. The Grey Cup winning defensive tackle from the Edmonton Eskimos. He's got an issue with Luke Wilson from the CFL on TSN. Get in line, Eddie. We'll talk about that and a lot of other Edmonton sports things and football things with Eddie Steele. I'd like to drop some NFL stuff as well. That's our poll question today, by the way. Are you following NFL training camps? It's brought to you by EMJ Marketing. From impactful speakers to strategic marketing, EMJ Marketing is your complete solution. Check them out at emjmarketing.com. The question, are you following NFL training camps? Last I saw, like 58% of respondents saying no. Let's keep in mind, it is a Canadian television show anchored out of Toronto on Game Plus television. Although Jimmy Lang tells me Toronto's an NFL town. Years ago, Jim Lang told me that. And I said, well, if that's the case, if Toronto's an NFL town, then Regina's an NHL town. No, you're not. But whatever. Cynthia is watching in Pittsburgh, and she says, oh, how I look forward to this show. Rod's positivity is infectious. Like a social disease. Daryl in Calgary writes in, Daryl Robinson. He says, Rod, I couldn't agree more. As much as hockey is a religion here in Canada, people like you that cover all sports are so important in the world these days. Keep up the great work. We really need people like you. Signed, Daryl. What? I'm not used to hearing things like this. So tell your friends. And here's the interesting thing, by the way, for those that are just joining us. Big football day today, and I'm going to get right back to it. But hockey shows Tuesday, Wednesday, because I'm going to Calgary, a hockey town, Western Canadian Pro Hockey Scouting Foundation Wall of Fame induction Tuesday, live show from the Sheridan Airport Cavalier. My dad's going into the Hall of Fame, and on Wednesday, live from Overtime Hockey Lanes, and my good friend Darren Fleury will join me there with Randy and Michelle at OT Hockey Lanes. And here's the thing, I mean, I don't get into the bunk. I have political views. I don't share them that much, but I put a post on the other day about Facebook, and some guy came at me on Facebook. He said, how can you support that wingnut? Because Darren's my friend, has been for years, and when I need something, Darren Fleury is there in 0.5 seconds. That's what friends do, and if you want to know why I support Darren Fleury, that's why. And he also knows that I've got his back in the exact same way. And I feel like the people that are popping off about it don't have somebody like that in their life, don't have a friendship like that. So it says a lot more about them than it does about us. Regarding the question, are you following NFL training camps? B. Mans writes, and he says, only following NFL camps if I hear about major injuries or roster moves. Hey, I'm the same. I'm not even really following the Cowboys training camp because everything that I see upsets me. And why would I? No. And we talked about this with Moose last hour. Enough of the NFL. Okay, quick six show topics, and then Robert in Las Vegas, I want to address his comment. The Blue Bomber fan living in Vegas. Quick six show topics. A tremendous week of CFL football in Week 8. So great that even Luke Wilson acknowledged that it was great. And it was capped last night with Hamilton winning their 5th in a row, 37-33 at BC. Just a hell of a game. I really enjoyed it. Point 2, the Blue Jays had the best record in baseball. They're at the Orioles tonight. Should be a sweep, I would think, at Camden Yards. Point 3 is NFL training camps. And our good friend Joe Madden dropped this one earlier this morning on her Twitter from Joe Madden Sports. Who's the most overrated quarterback in the NFL? I'll go first. Dakota Prescott of my Dallas Cowboys. Point 4. Week 9 in the CFL. Moose and I went out and made our picks, which, by the way, we're debuting a brand new sponsor, Pump Jack's Cathedral and Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. 2 separate bars, sports bars, same name. Cathedral, Pump Jack's, right in the middle of Regina, and then Weyburn, my second hometown. Thank you to Shannon and cool Kevin Smith for coming aboard the RP show. Us Sioux Line boys got to stick together. Point 5, hockey notes. I didn't even get to those with Moose because there really isn't any, and I don't feel like inventing them right now. So here's story time. Who the hell was it? Somebody wrote in here earlier and said that they are envisioning a Blue Bombers crossover into the Eastern Division. If you don't understand what that means, you'll never know. That's code for CFL talk. If the Bombers get into the East via crossover, he would love to see a Saskatchewan-Winnipeg Grey Cup. And the last time that happened was 2007. Man, are we old. And so here's my story on that. Saskatchewan won 23-19, and Jeff the Stamps fan writes in, he goes, I was there too, Rod, at that Grey Cup. For a non-fan of either team, it was not an inspiring game. It was a terrible game. And for years afterwards, I would see ESPN Classics showing, like on the program grid on your TV, 2007 Grey Cup, Saskatchewan-Winnipeg. I'm like, why? If I wanted to have a nap, I'd turn on golf. You need to watch the 07 Grey Cup? Get out of here with the 07 Grey Cup. But the stories around it are amazing. Brendan Taman, the general manager of the Blue Bombers at the time, was standing on the sidelines with Doug Barry, their head coach, who also is a very interesting cat. But the Bombers come running out of the tunnel for the game, and Beeve, Brendan Taman's nickname, he'll tell you, he goes, we looked up at the crowd, it was at least 80% green. And Beeve said to Doug Barry, guess we're the road team today, even though they were technically the home team. But I was doing a banquet, the dog's breakfast, as a matter of fact, Saskatchewan Huskies, me and Ronnie Lott. And I walked into the facility, Prairie Land Exhibition Center in Saskatoon. And I said, where am I sitting? And they said, oh, you're beside Ronnie Lott. There's the two speakers. I'm like, oh, cool. I knew Ronnie Lott. Didn't need to look him up. Voted the 11th best NFL player of all time. And he's missing a pinky. That's a story for another time. Anyways, I walk up to the table, and if you know me, you know this won't surprise you, Coach DeBuck. I'm like, hi, Ronnie, Rod Pedersen. Set my briefcase down. This is Ronnie Lott, okay? Look him up if you don't know. And he's like, excuse me, we'd never met. Can I ask you, what was your moment? Excuse me? What was your moment? I'm like, can you be a little more specific? What do you mean? Like, Ronnie's just bubbling. He's bubbling with enthusiasm all the time. Voted the 11th best NFL player of all time. San Francisco 49ers legend. That moment where you dreamt about it your whole life. Your whole life you dreamt about it. And then it just wasn't happening. And it wasn't happening. And you were realizing it wasn't happening. And then all of a sudden, boom, it just appeared out of nowhere. And it happened. What was that like? What was your moment? I thought for like 2.7 seconds. I'm like, what was the 2007 Grey Cup? I was in my 9th season as the voice of the Rough Riders. We didn't even get anywhere near the Grey Cup, let alone the playoffs, in those 9 seasons until then. So I thought I will never, ever broadcast for a championship team. We're the Cleveland Browns of the CFL, which at that time we were. And I'm like, it's a cool job, but we'll never win. And then we get into that game, and we were up 23-19. You all know this, I think, but Ryan Dinwiddie, and I'm broadcasting from the end zone, just so you know, from the Blue Jays broadcast booth at Rogers Center in Toronto. And it's very hard to broadcast a football game from the end zone, just so you know. The Bombers, with a minute to go, are marching toward our end zone, and I'm sitting there going, oh my, it's going to happen again. We had the lead, 23-19. We're going to piss it away like we always do. We're going to lose. This is going to be the another way to kill us. But no. Ryan Dinwiddie, who was making his first ever start in pro football, happened to be in a championship game. Throws that pass down the seam for Milt Steele. James Johnson steps inside it for his third cuts off the route and picks off his third interception of the day of Ryan Dinwiddie, and we win the game. And Wes Cates came out, got 1 first down. It's all we needed. Kerry Joseph kills the clock, and we win the football game. Go crazy, Saskatchewan! Go crazy! I yell into the microphone. Ronnie Lott starts jumping up and down, grabs a napkin, he's waving. I knew it! I knew it! I knew it! All the greats have a moment. That guy should be coaching Ronnie Lott, to be honest, because sorry to twist a knife for the Bomber fans, but for us, from a Saskatchewan perspective, it was pretty damn awesome. Oh, and this is terrible. Rob in Vancouver writes in and says, Rob in Las Vegas writes in, he says, Kevin Glenn, broken left arm in the East Final in 07. I still have nightmares. Dude, we were sitting there watching that on television at BC Place, getting ready for the 07 West Final, and I feel bad about this. I really do. When Kevin Glenn, the guy landed on his arm and he broke his arm, from my seat, I jumped up and pumped my fist in the air in the press box in Vancouver because I knew the second Kevin was hurt, we would win. We all knew that. And I love Kevin Glenn. If you know him, you love him. I feel bad, but it was strictly a professional thing. Lot of Craig Smith. Hey, Smitty. Keep her rolling, buddy. Strength from the RP Show. Prayers and love from the RP Show to our director of scouting, Craig Smith. He says, it's nice listening to sports talk. Yes, and telling stories, especially the good ones. It's 11:11 Mountain, 1:11 Eastern. Please visualize a positive outcome to your current situation. It works. B-Man says, I will concede that the Bombers have taken over the Rough Riders for number one fan base, but nobody travels like Rider fans. True that. B-Mans goes on to say, go crazy, Saskatchewan, go crazy. Classic call that night, Roddy. Oh, I had a few. Isn't it interesting that they don't air anymore? Isn't it interesting? 902-518-3033 is the text line. Eddie Steele is coming up from Sports 1440. Talking about Luke Wilson. I mean, and a variety of other things. By the way, if you want to get in your comments, get them in now. Greg in Calgary writes in and he says, I'm thinking about attending one of your Calgary shows. Which one do you recommend? I would suggest, Greg, the Overtime Hockey Lanes one, because I'm pretty confident in what's going to go on there. The airport Sheridan Cavalier, I'm not as confident because I've never been there before. I think it'll be great, but there's going to be all these hockey guys milling about, which is awesome, but I don't really know how that's going to go down. What I do know at Overtime Hockey Lanes is it's a not as big facility as the hotel, and Theo's going to be there. So you have a chance to come down and meet Darren Fleury, as well as us, and it'll be just more chill at Overtime Hockey Lanes on Wednesday, and I'm very excited to be there, as you can tell. 28th Street, Northeast Calgary, Overtime Hockey Lanes. Coach DeBuck writes it. He says, do you have any games on YouTube, Rod, that you called? Yes, I'll send it to you, Coach. I did have an NFL team back in the springtime ask me for a tape. I'll send you the one that I sent them. And they said, you're hired, right after watching it. And they're like, just joking. The job's not open, but I said, we're good. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in and says, I remember that famous call. James Johnson was unbelievable that game. There should be a statue of James Johnson in front of Mosaic Stadium. I don't understand why there's not. 3 interceptions in a Grey Cup to win just the 3rd Grey Cup in franchise history. Our VP of Scouting, Craig Smith, says, Ronnie Lott, one of the best. Thanks so much. I'm telling you, man, just to see jumping up and down. I knew it. I knew you'd have one. And then I casually looked over and saw that he was missing the pinky on his right hand. I'm like, what's up with that? Which, in retrospect, I would not normally have asked somebody something like that. But he said it was in a game. And 49ers fans would probably know this story, but he was in the locker room with the team doctor, and the guy's like, we got to take you to the hospital to get this thing taken care of. And he goes, no, I can't go to the hospital. We're in the middle of the game. And the guy goes, the only way that we can fix this is if we take the finger right off. I can't remember what the game was. I would like to think it was a playoff game, for the love of God, but knowing Ronnie Lott, it might not have been. He's like, just take it off. The doctor's like, excuse me? Remove it so I can get back into the game. So they did. What a story. I've run into Ronnie Lott at Super Bowls since and had a laugh about it. Arlen Bruce writes in, he says, great morning, RP. It's hard not to tune into NFL training camps. What a game by my former teammate, P-Way Smith. He almost tied the record for catches in a game. Okay, we have Eddie Steele coming in next. Colin in Ottawa, we'll get to your comment here about Luke Wilson. We're live on the Game Plus television network. We are streaming live. And, of course, found on all major podcast platforms.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, we're back. It's Overreaction Monday on the RP Show. We might as well jump right into it as we get ready to welcome Eddie Steele here from Sports 1440 Edmonton and a Grey Cup champion with the Edmonton Eskimos. Hey, Eddie, hang with me. Colin in Ottawa writes in, he says, I like Luke Wilson, but I don't like him saying to Derek Dennis that he never attended a pro football environment while he played in the CFL. If you make a living doing something, are you not a pro? I saw you take a swipe at Luke Wilson Saturday night, Eddie. Anything new on that? Where are we on the CFL on TSN sensation today?
I didn't really try and take a swipe and come at him, but he brings the fact that the CFL is turning more amateurish to him. I did take that, kind of personally to a degree. How are we going to say that when you're working for the broadcast that's covering the league, to be calling it amateurish is what he said, I believe. But these guys, man, they're laying it out on the line. They're making money doing it. No, they're not making NFL money, but they are trying and putting their asses out there every day and working and grinding. And, it's just to be saying that when you're a partner with the league, it's a tough look in my opinion. And, some of the back and forth that I saw there with Derek Dennis talking about how he's made more money and this and that doesn't matter. I don't care if you've made more money than me playing football. And you know what I will say, Rod, is I'm a kid who is proud from North End, Winnipeg, proud to have lived out my dream. I dreamed of being a Blue Bomber playing in the CFL. I wanted to play in the NFL, yes, but that wasn't my dream, man. I grew up going to Bomber games, getting cheap tickets from Safeway to sit in the fun kid zone in the end zone. That's what I wanted to be, a CFL player. And I'm not going to let people talk down and make me feel less than because I didn't have this end goal of becoming a millionaire in the NFL. I grew up in Winnipeg wanting to be a Bomber, and that was my dream, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So to disparage the league and to kind of say it's less than, or you didn't have grand aspirations of wanting to be in the NFL. No, man, that's not right because everybody's got their own life and their own shoes to walk in.
Well, a parallel for me as a broadcaster, my dream job was to be the voice of the Regina Pats, having been raised on a farm 30 miles south of Regina. And I got my dream job to be the voice of the Regina Pats. I don't care that it wasn't the National Hockey League, right? And I rode the buses, I sweat, I put in the work. So I get where you're coming from. What was the reaction, Eddie, from I don't know if you got any from Luke at all or from your followers on your take on that?
Well, yeah, I didn't get any reaction from Luke, but I talked to a lot of guys, Rod, who I've played with, former teammates, people who are, fairly close to Luke Wilson. And I just don't think that a lot of people totally agree with where he comes from. It's interesting that Luke kind of reminds me of myself. I'm only a couple of years older, but there's some similarities there in the sense that he isn't afraid to say some of the hard truths out loud. And some of the things that he says are true. There are some things and some topics that deserve to be discussed. And it's kind of reminiscent. How he's doing it reminds me of back when I got fired from Ched Radio when I was doing the broadcast with the Elks. I said some hard truths out loud. I ruffled some feathers, probably would go about it differently now that I'm 5 years beyond it and have established a decent little media career post-football. But the reality is I said what I said, and what I said wasn't completely wrong. Now, what Luke is doing, some of the things he's saying are truth. Now, the way he goes about it is a bit offside sometimes, and it's a bit off-putting, especially with some of the arrogant tones that he has. If he can tone that down a little bit and not get into these individual battles with people and disparage people and talk down to them, essentially, I think a lot more people would be on his side, because not everything he's saying is false here, Rod, but the way he delivers the message and the tone behind it, I think certainly could be worked on.
Well, I'm with you. He reminds me of me 20 years ago. But the thing is, I got my lights punched out to the point that I'm done. I don't make these outlandish comments anymore. So I get it. I know his heart's in the right place. I know where he's coming from, and I have a lot of time for the guy. I do. But when it's mean-spirited and some of the things that are being said, I'm just sitting here going, does he survive long enough to learn the lesson, or does he suffer the fate that you and I did as outspoken people? We don't know. So we're all sitting here waiting to see how this turns out.
Yeah, Rod, and I have a question. It's like, what is the end game? Because I continuously hear, well, he's bringing up talk about the CFL and chatter. Yeah, we are talking about the CFL, but all we're doing is talking about Luke Wilson and, some negative there. What is the end game for all the negative criticism towards the CFL? Yes, some deserved, some undeserved from Luke Wilson. But he's a type of person right now that is just bringing up a lot of negative, but not offering a lot of solutions. So at the end of the day, what good is any of it if you don't have these solutions to counter some of these negative things that you're bringing up?
I've never seen one person do what he's done and survived to talk about it after the fact. So again, that's why I'm interested to see where this goes. As David Benefield said last week, he's not saying anything new. A lot of us have been saying this for a long time. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, Eddie mentioned on the Kevin Carrier show this morning about the Edmonton Elks looking at personnel changes on the O-line. Is he thinking practice roster guys or NFL cuts?
Oh, I'm just thinking there's going to be competition. I know from personal experience, and I'm not inside that locker room right now. This is just solely based off factual experiences that I've lived. If you have a bad game like that, you can be sure the next day in practice, when you show up for your next practice, there's going to be a couple guys trying out for that position. That's the competitive nature of pro sports, pro football in general. It's cutthroat, and you don't have the leeway in the leash to have bad games like that. So there will be tryouts, and they are looking to upgrade after a performance like that. That's just the reality of it. I don't know where or who they're looking, if it's practice roster, NFL cuts, free agents, but they are looking to upgrade, and you always are. I've had games, Rod, where if you miss your assignment 3 times in a game, after it's something that you've practiced all week, damn it, that next week there's going to be 3 guys trying out for that defensive tackle position. That's the brutal reality of it, man.
Rob in Las Vegas writes in, he says, good to see Eddie, a fellow Kelvin Clipper. So there you go. I had the great opportunity to be on your
Vegas. I just got back from Vegas last night, 2 a.m.
I heard that. How'd it go? What did you do?
Family. It was all family. I have a sister who's down there, an aunt who's down there. We all just met up, got all the young kids together. I spent most of my time at the splash pads in the Children's Museum, Rod.
All right. You would have fit right in, Eddie. So last week I was on the show with you, your show, talking about that quarterback change potentially from Trey Ford to Cody Fajardo. I didn't think it would happen. And then they did it. What do you got this week? You got Hamilton in there on Saturday. What do you do now after what happened Friday night and the 8 sacks?
Oh, it's a no-brainer in terms of quarterback position. I think Cody easily solidified himself. He was the best quarterback in the game. He outplayed Trevor Harris. Despite the 8 sacks that he took, a couple were on him, but the vast majority were blown coverages from his O-lineman. He threw for 345 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked as good a quarterback at that position as we've seen here in these parts around Edmonton for half a decade. So it's a no-brainer. Cody's going to be the guy moving forward. Mark Killam essentially, huffed at the idea when he was asked in his post-game media avail. He said, yeah, no duh, he's our guy. So moving forward, I think that there's not going to be any back and forth. And in terms of with Hamilton, man, your boy Bo Levi, he's playing some hot football right now, Rod. It's why I didn't think that he would have this resurgent of a career. Couple years coming off a shoulder injury. He's got 15 touchdowns, 3 picks. They've won 5 straight games, leading the league in passing. And, man, he looked good in that comeback against BC last night.
To be honest, I know that he saw a sports medicine doctor in Houston, his hometown. I think the Astros guy was a big reason for just the way that he's come back from that physically. You're right. But I think, Eddie, you would know a little bit about this, as do I. Some guys, count them out and see how they come back. Bo seems like that kind of guy, right?
He is, absolutely. And he just surpassed quite a milestone last week. He's in the top 10 all-time CFL passing yards with 40,000 yards. This guy's no slouch. He's not just a guy who's won some games now. When we look at the entirety of his career, he's going to go down as one of the best ever, and he's not slowing down. And, color me shocked, because I didn't think he had this type of game in him still.
I think we all are. And to be honest, I think if we ever sat down, we'd be great friends. But guess what? That ain't ever going to happen. For the legions of no, it ain't happened. For the for the legion of Rider fans that are watching, you played here, Eddie. You know what it's like. It's a hard place. They're 6-1, and the media and a lot of fans are saying they were lucky to win on Friday night, and they're up Brett Lowther's ass, the kicker, for missing a field goal. And I'm like, oh my God, were they lucky to win in your mind or not?
No, they weren't lucky to win. You don't luck into 8 sacks, especially with the performances that they've had defensively under Corey Mace, man. He's a hell of a defensive coordinator. He's a hell of a head coach. Did they luck into their starting record last year when, what were they, 6-1 or something very similar last year? They didn't luck into that. They had a tough stretch. They didn't just luck into their record this year too. They're doing some good things over there, doing the right things, and they're doing it consistently, man. Now, Rider Nation, they got to take a little bit of dose of the Blue Bombers medicine, because right now the Bombers, in terms of their fan base, we all know what they're about. And, they're sellout after sellout, and they are passionate over there. And I know how passionate they are in Rider Nation, but we need to see that in the house more. Because for a team that is playing as good as they are, 6-1, there shouldn't be any empty seats in the stadium. There shouldn't be empty sections in the stadium that we see. That's not a call out. It's just what's going on, Rider Nation. You got the best team and the supposed most passionate fan base. Where are you at? Because you should be there, because your team is rolling right now.
I'm just writing a note. There shouldn't be empty sections in the stadium. That'll get him going, Eddie. Well, here's the thing. Corey Mace and Trevor Harris can be upset they're not putting teams away. That's true. They can. They should. But as far as the fans and media go, that's not your job to bitch about that. They won, and they're 6-1. For instance, there was a newspaper columnist, which I didn't even know that are still our newspaper columnists, that said if they didn't have the 8 sacks, it would have been an embarrassing loss. But they had the 8 sacks. That's why they won the game. Right, Eddie?
So we're talking hypotheticals now too, hey? I mean, if I still had my haircut, what are we talking about? They had 8 sacks and they won the game. Why are you making up a fake narrative?
Bingo. That's old school media that doesn't really exist anymore, but some are still trying to make it a thing. You brought up Winnipeg. Their fans are writing in here and they're worried. Should they be?
Yeah, you know what, Rod? There should be a little bit of concern. They started slow last year and obviously came on hot, getting to the Grey Cup, doing what they do for a 5th straight year. But this year is different. Everybody's a year older. Zach Caleros has hit his head a couple of weeks ago, and we don't know what's going on. The way that was handled, he got rushed back, I would say, maybe too quick. Only played a half. Mysteriously wasn't in his equipment coming out of the second half this past week. So we didn't have that injury history with Zach over his past run in Winnipeg, especially not with his noggin, so to speak. So there's some cause for concern there. And I've seen Doug Brown and some other pundits around Winnipeg just say, I don't think there is talent. I don't think that they have the horses right now just to get the job done. You lose a guy like Adam Bighill, and yes, on field, he's 35 and he may have lost a step, but culturally, within the organization, within the locker room, a guy like that brings so many intangibles. And I just wonder if some of those deep-rooted core fundamentals that they have in guys like Big E, Stanley Bryant, Willie Jefferson, all guys who are starting to age out, how deep are those fundamentals still rooted in that organization? I think that we're starting to see the cracks of the foundation crumble. And Roddy, with the extra pressure of them hosting the Grey Cup, I think that's just going to start to compile even more.
Well, buddy, and here's the thing. When it falls, the bottom, it falls fast. Like Like in Winnipeg, it's all the same guys. It's Willie Jefferson, Brady Oliveira, Nick Dembski, Zach, even Strevler. And then on the defensive guys, same. But in Sask, we in 2015, Eddie, when did you come? 2016?
17 and 18.
Okay. In 2015, we started the year 0-9. And we had, if I recall, we had Kevin Glenn, we had Getzlaff, Dressler, Chick. We had all the guys. And we were 0-9. Do you know what I'm saying? It falls out fast.
It does. In pro sports, man, it moves so fast. Just for example, the quarterback position in Edmonton again. They anoint Trey Ford the starter in the offseason, pay him the starter money, and boom, just like that, a third of the way through, he's on the bench and Cody Fajardo's starting. It happens fast, man. And once the wheels start rolling, that bus doesn't stop. And when you got a team in Winnipeg that is seriously aging at the same time with their core pieces, boy, like you said, Roddy, that floor, it is taking it quick.
Matt DeBuck, watching in Florida, 3-time state high school champion coach at Cardinal Gibbons High School, says, great guest. I know, coach. Somebody had the gall last week to say, your hockey guests are better than your football guests. I'm like, how about they're all fantastic? That's why they get on this show. You got to be fantastic to get on this show.
This is the RP show now.
This is it. This is it, man. We're the biggest thing in Edmonton. Tell us Channel 924, Roger Shaw, Channel 230. Very big in Edmonton. I should ask you about Calgary. They were the talk of the league last week, first place, and then they've lost twice at home now to Montreal and Ottawa. Where are you on the Horsemen down the number 2 there?
Yeah, I'm still pretty impressed with what they're doing. You know, I'm not going to say they're overachieving because their defense is playing such a strong brand of football right now. The loss to Ottawa early in the year, that's a wash. The rain, it was a monsoon. Things happen. Football games can play out that way because Ottawa, I wouldn't put in any realm of competitive right now. I would put Ottawa as the worst team in the league. I don't think that they have the dogs on the roster to be able to get things done. And then the loss to Montreal, again, Montreal, hell of a defense. What they're doing over there defensively with Noel Thorpe is very impressive. They're one of the best teams in the league, so got to tip your cap. It's going to happen. What I'm really looking forward to when it comes to the Stampeders, Roddy, is this Labor Day game in the rematch, because with the way Edmonton's playing, and it's crazy to say, but the door is still somewhat open here. I'm not the eternal optimist, but in reality, with BC being 3-5, and Winnipeg being 3-3, Edmonton's only a couple of points, 4 points, which is a couple of games out of a position here. So the lights aren't out. So it makes the Calgary Labor Day and the rematch that much more important. Now, you can't count your chickens before their eggs hatch. They got to take care of business before Hamilton and do things for the month of August. But it's going to set up for a huge divisional matchup that could really propel Edmonton back into a playoff spot. I know it's crazy to say.
No, it's not crazy at all. The CFL should be the crazy football league because that's what it is, and that's why we love it. Okay, Eddie, you wowed him. You wowed him. I knew you would. Keep in touch, brother. Thank you.
All right, RP. Love you, man.
The great Eddie Steele joining us from the City of Champions. Everybody loved the chat with number 97. Edmonton's second most famous number 97. We'll be right back after this here on Game Plus Television.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. 2 more segments left here at the Golden Ticket Sports Center today. And I'm jumping in the old Dodge Hornet hybrid and ripping to Calgary. I can't wait. But I can tell you this, I will be in Cowtown for less than 48 hours. So when we aren't coming out there for lollygagging and Mickey Mouse, and I'll tell you that, we're coming out to do 2 live shows, going to the banquet in Okotoks Tuesday night, and then ripping back here to be on the air. It's not that heroic, just saying. Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, home of the Golden Ticket Minor Basketball and the Golden Ticket Volleyball Club. Join us for top-tier training, leagues, and events. Visit GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com for more information. On the vein, I know the rest of the country doesn't care, and the 32 U.S. states sure the hell don't, but you got Eddie Steele on here, CFL alum, talking about the 6-1 Saskatchewan Roughriders, the best team in the Canadian Football League, and says they shouldn't have empty sections in the stadium. Woo, here we go. Now listen up, because I'm going to get on my soapbox in a second here, but Graham writes in from Calgary on the 403. He's from the 403. He's writing on the Western Dodge text line, watching on Game Plus TV. He says, having been to the smoked out game, that's the game that was postponed due to bad air quality from forest fires. Because I could see that less people travel into Regina for games. It's easier to get a hotel in Regina during games now. Don't know if it's less weekend games, people being more busy, or post-COVID time management. None of the above, as Montgomery Brewster would say. It's this, I feel. And I was having this talk the other day. I can't remember where. I feel like it was in a press box in the WCBL, Western Canadian Baseball League, but CFL wiping out their season during the 2022 campaign due to COVID was almost fatal. Oh, I know. I was having lunch with my guy, Jeff. Friday at Deja Vu Wings here in Moose Jaw. And we agreed. That's what it was, because those football fans turned their attention to the NFL at that time, and a lot of them didn't come back. So, again, that's our opinion. You can have yours. That's the one thing that we really suffer from in society these days. You can have your opinion. We'll have ours. It might match. It might not. We don't need to hate each other. But that's what I really think that it is. A lot of people got into the NFL in 2020, Canadian football fans, and never came back. Now, a lot of the factors you brought up aren't wrong. A lot of people bought campers and realized, oh, wow, it's fun out here at the lake. Oh, I'm actually spending time with my kids. Who knew? Where the hell are we? Oh, Ryan in upstate New York writes in. He says, great news from NCAA football. Deion Sanders has beaten bladder cancer. That's fantastic. The pride of Fort Myers, Florida. Rich in Edmonton says, Eddie's progression in the broadcasting business has been terrific. I'm not reading your comment, Jeff the Stamps fan. He's not. No. Appreciate you for saying that. I'm just not going to repeat it. Sports update. It's first versus worst as the Toronto Blue Jays open a 4-game AL East Division Series today against the host Baltimore Orioles. Chris Bassett will be on the mound for the 63-43 Jays, while the 47-win Orioles counter with Zach Eflin. Mixing sneaky humor with heartfelt messages, Ichiro Suzuki became the first Japanese-born player to be inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame Sunday in Cooperstown. The outfielder was joined by pitcher CC Sabathia and closer Billy Wagner. There are 2 games in the WNBA tonight, including one in Dallas, where the last-place Wings host the Eastern Conference leading New York Liberty. Elsewhere, the Seattle Storm visit the last-place Connecticut Sun. Kurt Kitayama has his second PGA Tour win. He won the 3M Open in Minnesota Sunday, closing with a 65 for a total of 23 under to beat Sam Stevens by 1 stroke. Bubba Wallace became the first black driver to win a major race on Indianapolis Motor Speedway's 2.5-mile oval, surviving a late rain delay, 2 overtimes, concerns over running out of fuel, and a hard-charging Kyle Larson Sunday in the Brickyard 400. How about that? The sports update is for Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. We've got it all. Use promo code RPShow for 15% off now. Check us out at SeatGiant.ca. Overtime is just ahead after this. Here live on Game Plus TV and all major podcast platforms.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, everybody. Good to be back. Good to be with you in this business. Good to be anywhere. Oh, my God. Let's be real about it. It's Overtime, brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And we will be there live on Wednesday. Randy and Michelle, if you're watching right now, you might want to bring in a few more chairs. Live studio audience. People coming down to watch us. Darren Fleury is going to be joining us at Overtime Hockey Lanes on Wednesday as well, my great friend. You can find them at 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. What the hell? If that's the first time you've come down to Overtime Hockey Lanes just to watch our show, that's fine. But I will tell you, you will be, like me, hooked on the place. It's an amusement park for hockey players. That's Wednesday's live show. Graham in Calgary, speaking of, writes in regarding poor Rough Riders attendance. Graham says, I always enjoy disagreeing with you, Rod, without being disagreeable. Much respect. Same with you, Graham, and I very much enjoy your stuff on social media, the things that you post. It's very important that we all get along despite difference in viewpoints. I know that's hard for some people, but not me, and clearly not you. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hey, Rod, the Jays are going to need those cooling fans in their dugout this week as the temperatures in Baltimore will be over 100 degrees Fahrenheit with the humidity. Everybody's talking about the heat down there in the eastern seaboard. The Toronto people, too, let alone the U.S. Northeast. It's not the first time. I understand there is climate change, but it ain't nothing like what's going on in the southern states, I'll tell you that. I'm going to read this now. I probably won't read it tomorrow. This is our final segment, and then tomorrow we'll be live at the Western Canadian Pro Scouting Hockey Foundation Hall of Fame induction. This is the bio of my dad, so you can get a look at Jim Pedersen. There you go. There's a good photo of the old guy, which we lovingly call him, and he was very proud of that nickname. Being inducted into the Scouts Hall of Fame tomorrow. Born June 11th, 1937. Passed away July 21st, 2018. From Milestone, Saskatchewan, where he was raised on a farm and played goal and minor hockey. Spent 26 years as a scout with the Dallas Stars. Was part of their 1999 Stanley Cup championship team. Prior to the NHL, he scouted for the WHL's Calgary Wranglers, Prince Albert Raiders, Regina Pats, and Brandon Wheat Kings. From the Regina Leader Post, quote, as well, Pedersen assisted people who were dealing with substance abuse issues and offered counseling to young people. A lifelong 4-H member, he raised purebred Angus cattle. That's my dad. Said Ross Mahoney, the Washington Capitals assistant GM, who knew Pedersen for more than 30 years, I know he was an extremely hard worker because every time I went to a game, there was Jim Pedersen. I thought that maybe there were 4 or 5 Jim Pedersens, but there was only one. Buddy, have you got that right? So tomorrow, we've been grateful enough to have been invited out there to broadcast the show live from the Sheraton Airport Cavalier Hotel. And the second this show is over today, I'm packing this gear up and ripping out there in my Dodge Hornet. The official vehicle provider of the RP show is Western Dodge in Moose Jaw. New or used, Western Dodge has your next vehicle ready to roll. Visit the dealership or browse 24/7 at westerndodge.ca. Carlos in Indianapolis says, sounds like an amazing guy. Oh, he was. Greatest man I ever knew. And I remember growing up thinking, I'm never going to know as much as this guy. And I don't. And never will, but that's okay. Guy could fix a combine, a barbed wire fence, a calf. Taught me how to scout hockey. Unbelievable, man. Our VP of scouting, Craig Smith, writes in. He says, I wished I met him. I'm shocked you didn't, Smitty. I thought somewhere along the way you would have. BW in Edmonton says, what kind of mileage are you getting with your Hornet? I don't know. When the gas gauge dips down below a quarter, I fill it up. Colin in Ottawa writes in and he says, man, Eddie's saying my Red Blacks are the worst team in the CFL. Hurts, but I can't disagree. I was on the radio in Ottawa last week, TSN 1200, and AJ says, AJ Jackick was the host. He goes, what are you talking about on your show these days? I said, a lot of CFL and some Blue Jays. I said, I assume you're talking a lot of CFL, and AJ's like, not really. No, we're taking a break from the CFL in Ottawa. I get it. And Smitty, that's why guys like Craig Smith, our director of scouting, are so valuable. They said to me, what do you see with the Red Blacks? And I'm like, I'm not a scout. I mean, I've watched a lot of football, but I don't pretend to be an expert. Leave that to the guys like Smitty. Hey, Smitty, what's wrong with Ottawa? Because I had them second place in the East. I had them picked for 10 wins. And they're a CFL worst 1-6. And again, I don't watch all the games. And when I do, I'm not watching football games critically for what's wrong. I'm not. I stick to what I know about and what I'm commissioned to talk about, the Florida Panthers and so forth. Rich in Edmonton says AJ has been pretty downtrodden about the Red Blacks, to be sure. They're 1-6. How couldn't he be? And with Toronto winning on Saturday to go to 2-5, that's even worse. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hi, Rod, rest in peace, Mr. Pedersen. Oh, he's resting in peace, but he'll have a pretty proud night Tuesday night in Okotoks. And Perry Shockey was supposed to be my date. Shockey hockey. Shockey's the name, hockey's the game, but then he bailed on me. So Perry Andrusik is going to be coming with me to Okotoks, to the arena for the induction on Tuesday night. It's going to be big fun. All right, thank you to Eddie Steele, producer Corey, and your crew, Darren Moose DuPont, and all the rest, most of all the viewers, because without you, there would be no us. We'll see you tomorrow live from Calgary, here live on Game Plus Television.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?